I will give you the synopsis of the story from Greek mythology, Pygmalion and Galatea. Pygmalion, a sculptor. He is our main squeeze in this story. He is totally disgusted by the group of prostitutes, and he swears off all women. He goes to his studio and decides to sculpt his ideal woman out of ivory. Pygmalion makes the statue so beautiful that he falls in love with it. When the festival for Aphrodite, he prays that the goddess will give him a wife, just like his statue. He decides to do him one better and actually bring his statue to life. The statue becomes a real woman, and she and Pygmalion get married and have 2 children. The story from Greek mythology, Pygmalion and Galatea. Pygmalion was a talented Greek sculptor from Cyprus. After being disgusted by some local prostitute, he lost all interest in women and avoided their company completely. Pygmalion saw women as flawed creatures and vowed never to waste any moment of his life with them. He dedicated himself to his work and soon created Galatea, a beautiful statue of a woman out of ivory. Ironically, the masterpiece of his life was this statue of a woman. Perhaps he sought to correct in marble and flaws he saw in a woman of flesh and blood. Pygmalion worked so long and with such inspiration on the statue of Galatea, it became more beautiful than any woman that had ever lived or been carved in stone. As he finished the statue's features, they became exquisitely lovely, and he found himself applying the stroke of hammer and chisel with increasing affection. When his chisel finally stopped ringing, there stood before him a woman of such perfection that Pygmalion, who had professed his disdain of all females, fall deeply in love. He would bring it gifts, caress it, kiss it, and talk to it every day. He brought it gifts that he thought a woman would enjoy, such as pretty seashells, beads, songbirds, bubbles, and flowers. He would dress the statue in fine clothing and put rings on her fingers, necklace around her neck, and even earrings. However, what irony that he, who had scorned woman, should fall in love with a woman who could never love him in return. Such a passionate could not go unnoticed by the goddess of love, Aphrodite. She took pity on a young man, and when Pygmalion went to her temple to sacrifice a bull, Aphrodite gave him a sign. As the offering burned in the temple, the flames shot up 1, 2, 3 times. Pygmalion went home wondering what to make of the manifestations he had seen. When he entered his studio, however, and saw the statue, all other thoughts were banished from his mind. He ran to his statue and embraced it. She seems warm to his touch. Aphrodite gave life to the statue, whose name was Galatea. Pygmalion's mind oscillated between doubt and joy. Fearing he may be mistaken, again and again with the lover's ardor he touches the object of his hopes. It was indeed alive. The vein, when pressed, yielded to the finger and again resumed the roundness. Slowly it dawned on Pygmalion that the animation of this sculpture was the result of his prayer to goddess Aphrodite, who knew his desire. At last, the votary of Aphrodite found words to thank the goddess. Pygmalion humbled himself at the goddess' feet. Soon, Pygmalion and Galatea were wed, and Pygmalion never forgot to thank Aphrodite for the gift she had given him. Aphrodite blessed the nuptials she had formed, and this union between Pygmalion and Galatea produced a son named Paphos, from whom the city of Paphos in Cyprus. This city was sacred to Aphrodite, received its name. Pygmalion and Galatea brought gifts to her temple throughout their life, and Aphrodite blessed them with happiness and love in return.